Hello guys, welcome back to a new video on the Wanderster channel where we talk about everything Fortnite Creative related. Today we're going over to how to make an auto start 1v1, just like you see here. So that's whenever my alt account right here goes on up and is ready to 1v1. And then I come right here also to 1v1, and then it will count down and auto start the 1v1, and we'll both go running to either side just like that. Let's get right on into it. Before I start the video, I would like to say, if you would like to join our Discord for more help, you could join it down in the description down below. You can go and make a ticket, and then one of our creative professionals will help you with that ticket. Just write what your issue is with your map and explain your situation. But if you are good at creative and you want to be one of our creative professionals, we are looking for some. So just make a ticket yourself, showing some of your work and why you want to be a creative professional. Let's get back to the video. So the basics of this mechanic is whenever two players come up to this bar right here, ready to 1v1, both of these mutator zones will detect the players there, and then it'll tally on this player counter, and then after it tallies on the player counter, it will send to this prop manipulator that will hide this piece of glass, which will let them run, and then, but this player counter will also send over here to this trigger to have a delay before it brings the glass back and resets the timer. This other feature over here is the auto start feature. It's just one switch where you can turn this stuff on and off depending if you would like to use it for your 1v1 or not. The billboard and the switch are optional, as you can see here. So first, you're going to want to get your mutator zones right here, and we'll go into the settings of it. These are the settings I changed for it. So I just changed the zone width and height to 0.2 tiles. I just kind of figured this would be a good height, and it did work. And then I have my depth set to 1. And then I have two mutator zones that are just like that. Moving on to the timer. I don't know if you can see it. It's squished in the middle here. I have a timer. I'm going to interact with that timer. And the settings I changed on this is the duration, however long you want your timer to go before the 1v1 starts. I set mine to 3 seconds. You can do whatever you want. I actually named my timer. This is not necessary, but I named it if you want. Can't interact, set that to no so your players cannot interact with your timer to mess with this. Timer color, whatever color you want the text to be. Display time in seconds only, because this is quick. It's just a couple seconds, and then it will send you off. Over here, coming up to the player counter, the settings are invert team selection on, invert class selection on. This will make sure like it doesn't detect any players in the map. Next here, include spectators. I would just turn this off because it might mess up some stuff. Info panel icon. If you want to add an icon to your thing, I just set this to none because I don't really need it. Success color. This is the color that you want this to succeed with. So whenever one player goes up, it'll be red, and then as soon as a second player comes up, the text right here that's red will turn green. After, come over your prop manipulator. You're going to want to place this device right on your glass. So see how it's red, and then when you get close it's green. Make sure it's green when you place it on your glass. Coming into the settings of these, I actually didn't change any settings, and there are only functions and events, which I'll get to in a second. Place on your trigger and go into the settings. The settings I changed for this is only the trigger delay is 3 seconds, so that it will have a delay before it resets the 1v1 start. Over here at the switch, I just have the initial state set to on. And the auto start, I have the text to auto start, of course, and some formatting options. So going right into the first mutator zone right here. Some of these settings, it's going to look like a lot of settings because when I was doing it, I was going back and forth between all my devices here. Right here, we have disable when receiving from and enable when receiving from. Copy down these settings right here. Timer device, on success, switch, on turned off. For enabled, switch, on turned on, and then trigger on triggered. These two settings for both mutator zones are the same, so you can just copy it over, do the same settings for both. Going right here to the timer device. In my functions, I have start when receiving from the player counter. So that's as soon as the player counter hits 2, it'll start the timer. And scrolling down here, enable from the switch, disable from the switch, just like that. So the switch will turn on and off the devices. And let's see if I can head over here. It doesn't break for a second. And then on success, the trigger is going to trigger. The mutator zones are going to disable. And the prop manipulator is going to hide the glass. Heading over to the player counter now. Right to our functions. In the functions, I have register player and unregistered player. For the register players, I have on entering the zone. So whenever a player enters the zone, it will register them. It'll unregister them when they exit the zone. Pretty simple. Make sure that it just basically makes sure they're there or not. In the events of this, I have on countdown, on count succeeds, timer device, start. So as soon as there's 2 players in here, it'll start the timer. And you might already have some of these in, so this will probably already be in here. Moving over to the prop manipulator device, to the functions, I have show props and hide props. So it's show, I have when switch turned on, and then trigger on triggered. For hide, I have timer device succeeds, switch on turned off, and moving on to the events for that, I have no events. So you probably, if you've done all those settings right, you should have a lot in your trigger already, and you probably shouldn't have to do anything in here. But for my function, we have timer device on success, and events, we have our mutator zones. Both of our mutator zones right here and right here are both enabled. Timer device resets for all. Make sure it resets for all, so everyone in your map can see that reset. Prop manipulator, show props that will turn back on your glass. So this whole trigger is a whole reset for all your stuff, so it can be used again. Over to your switch here. No functions, events. If I scroll to the top, on turned on, it will enable both mutator zones, enable the timer, and show the glass. So this is turning on everything, and then turning off everything, which is the opposite. It will disable both mutator zones, disable the timer, and disable the glass. So on turned on, it'll enable and show everything, and then when it gets turned off, it'll hide and disable everything. There's actually a second way of doing this. You could do it without the mutator zone. So if I take these mutator zones out, and both of these ways work completely the same, completely fine. But if you scroll down to the bottom until you see use zone, turn that on. As soon as you turn on use zone, you can scroll down until you see the width, the depth, and the height. Set the width to 0.1 and then set the depth and height to 1. And as soon as you click OK, you'll have a zone that pops up here. You could reposition this to down here if you would like. Actually, I'm not going to do it because I have my timer in the way. But as soon as each player goes up here, touches the zone, they'll be counted into it. And then as soon as they leave the zone, it'll uncount them. So this way also works. It's the same thing as a mutator, but it's built in. So this way actually might be easier than the other one. I discovered this after, but you can use either way, however you would like. So if I get my alt account to run right over here like this, come right here, and then I can come right here, and then have my alt account go up to the glass, and then I can come right up to the glass, and as soon as I do so, it'll turn green, it'll say 2, and the timer will start. So if I go right here, it's 2, it's green, timer started, and there we go, we're off to 1v1 just like so. So that's basically everything of how to make an auto start in your 1v1 map. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Supports the channel a ton. And if you want to support me even further, use code peeper in the Fortnite item shop. That's PEEPER. It really does support the channel a ton. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can put them down in the comment section below or on the Discord. But that's pretty much it. I'll see you all in the next one. A sister out.